Okay, so we're going to start off on your back. Make sure I can see myself here. Okay, so starting off on your back, just a nice easy roll. So we're going to kind of grab your knees. And a nice easy roll side to side. Just starting to get things moving, warmed up. Side to side, then we'll circle your knees around. So as you're rocking side to side, be kind of moving your knees forward and backwards so we get that circular motion. Stop and go the other way. And good. So from there, let's go ahead and just keep a hold of your knees. We'll rock forward and backward. So your goal will be, a little challenge will be coming up and kind of stopping yourself without touching your heels to the ground. Rock back, come back up. Try not to touch your heels to the ground. And good. So the next challenge, think about rolling backwards down one side and up on the other side. So what's going to happen is, as you do that, you should start to rotate. Okay, so the goal is to rotate yourself around in that circle. Okay, if that's not working for you, just continue rocking forward and backward. You make it all the way around one direction. Try to go back the other direction. And good. All right, let's roll over. So we're going to roll over onto your elbows. So we're looking to get hips on the ground. So the points of your hips should be on the ground. We're going to try to be on elbows here. Don't let your shoulders crunch up next to your ears. We're going to push your elbows down and away, or push your elbows down through the floor so that your chest comes up. And we should be able to look forward here. So just getting this stretch here, you might get a stretch in your abs. But what we want is a nice even curve through your upper back. So you shouldn't feel this as a kink in one part of your spine. We want to share that extension through all of your vertebrae. Now, as you're up nice and tall, we're going to look, take a nice easy look over your shoulder. All right, so if I'm looking over my left shoulder, I'm going to try to spot my left heel. And look over your right shoulder. Try to find your right heel. So we're just looking back and forth here. Your hips can shift. If you're having no problem finding the same side heel, right? So look left, find your left heel. If that's not a problem, look a little bit farther, try to spot your opposite heel. And good. From there, we're going to push up to all fours. Knees just a little bit wider than hips. And we're going to push back. We push your heels back, or push your butt back towards your heels. As you push your butt back, try to keep your tailbone up. So don't let yourself round under and scoop down. So we want to try to push back, keep your tailbone up. And then we come forward. Let's put your hands in a spot where when you come forward, you can spread your fingertips nice and wide and get a little bit of a wrist stretch out of it. So today is all about just moving around, getting some mobility back, getting a little bit of warm up, and then we'll finish with a 6-minute circuit with some movements just to get you warm and ready for the day. Okay, good. So let's Go ahead and come up to 2 knees. So this is deep kneeling, right? So we're here and we're just going to come up to tall kneeling. All right, so the movement here is just a hinge at your hips. Okay, so we'll have your toes curled under. Every time you come up to the top, cheeks are going to be strong. Make sure you're as tall as you can possibly be from your knees on up to the top of your head. So we're just going through those, doing a few reps here, getting things moving. Squeezing cheeks at the top, making sure you're tall. All right, so let's alternate here between, we're going to come up tall, back down to your feet, come up tall. Next time you come down to your feet, you're going to point your toes out the back so your shoelaces are on the ground. All right, if deep kneeling it bugs your knees, then just don't go as deep. So if you have knee pain when the back of your legs touch your calves, right? When you get this pinch here. So if that's bothersome, then don't go that far. But we're just going to alternate here between coming up tall, bringing those toes under, sit on top of your heels, then sitting on top of your feet. So really, we're just kind of working your ankle joints here, giving your toes a good stretch. Okay. All right, little challenge from this position. So from here, my toes are curled under. It's like our feet are flexed. And from here, we want to try to, nice and easy, lift your knees up off the ground. 2 knees come up at the same time. And then we're just sort of perched there on top of the balls of your feet. Right, and then nice and easy, we put the knees back to the ground. Right, so let's just try a couple reps of those. Ideally, we're doing this without hands. Okay, but the best way to do it is try not to push off the ground with your knees. You're going to shift your weight back far enough so that your knees sort of pull up off the ground. And then we can kind of regain your balance by shifting your shoulders forward again. Same thing when you go back down. Your shoulders will go back. We're coming up just enough to lift those knees up. We're shifting just enough weight backwards to lift your knees up. We go back to the ground. Okay. Good. So let's go ahead and put feet flat on the floor. So your shoelaces are going to be on the floor. We're going to have a seat. So this one's new. We haven't done this. I haven't done this with this group. All right. But we're just going to, from here, we're going to shift your weight to your side to take your hip to the ground. Right. And actually, I should start this way. Shift your weight off to the side. Then we're going to bring your knees up and over and pop up on the other side. Okay, so we shift your weight off of your heels. If you can do it without hands, do it without hands. If you need some hands to help, you can use hands to help. Okay, so pretty much we're just rolling off to the side, flip your knees over, and then we pop up on the other side. You'll get a little bit of rotation in your knees here. You just got to be aware your shin bone is going to rotate in your knee or like at the knee joint. So just be aware that that's going to be a thing. So if you have knee issues, this may not be the best one to do. But when you pop back up, we're also using your hips. Okay, getting some hip mobility there. And last one. Okay. So when you're done, let's end up on one side and turn one hip in, turn the other hip. I guess this one's turned in, this one's turned out. But what's going to happen is we're going to sit nice and tall, try to keep this shin along the ground, and try to get both butt cheeks to the ground. I am not even close, so I use my hand to prop myself up. Some people can sit this way pretty naturally. All right, from here, we're going to take a look over your shoulder. So you can use your hands to sort of walk yourself around. We look over one shoulder, and we look over the other shoulder. So as you look, think about pulling that shoulder blade back towards your spine to give you lots of rotation. And we're just looking over each shoulder. Okay, from here, try to do it hands-free. If you got to put your hands behind you to prop yourself up, no big deal. But we're going to leave your feet glued to the ground and bring your knees up and over, kind of like windshield wipers. And then we're propped up on the other side. So we'll hang out here for a sec. One turned in, one turned out, trying to get both butt cheeks to the floor. And we'll rotate, take a look behind you. And take a look the other way. And we're just alternating, going back and forth. All right. So if you have your foam roller around, you can use it as a prop for this if needed. All right, but really what we want is, we want to work our way to be able to do it hands-free, but it helps to have a little bit of a boost if you need it. Okay, so from here, you're going to take your shoulders forward so that you can press your front thigh into the ground and lift yourself up. All right, so all we're doing is coming up tall here, and we'll go back down. Let's do that 4 or 5 times. Just coming up and back down. So you shift your weight forward so that you can pull up off the ground. Okay. And good. So now what's going to happen is we're going to take it one step further. You're going to come up, right? This is going to stay, this knee is going to stay on the ground. Your back knee is going to come through and forward. And we just end up in a half kneeling position. So now you're going to take this knee that's in front. You're going to wrap it back around to be behind your foot. And we sit back down on that hip. All right, so let's do 3 more of those. We come up, back leg becomes your front leg. And we're back down. Make sure when you go back down, this front leg is going to wrap all the way around behind you. Think about putting this knee on the sole of your other foot. Okay, good. So from there, we're just going to flip sides again. So keep your feet kind of glued to the ground, and we switch. So when you flip those knees over, you end up back into the same position, just on the other side. Again, from here, we're going to lean forward. So we take your weight forward. We just come up. And we're not stepping anywhere yet. Let's just do 4 or 5 of these. Warming that up. If you have your roller nearby, you can put fingertips, or you can even use fingertips on the ground just to give you a little bit of help coming up. So right now we're kind of working the stability in your hip, a little bit of strength as well, a little bit of mobility around the knee joint too. Okay, let's go ahead and come on up to half kneeling. So now we press up, back knee becomes your front knee. Then we take that front knee, wrap it back around, and we kneel down to the side. Okay, let's go through a couple of those. Again, use a prop, use fingertips on the ground wherever you need it. And good. All right, from here, we'll go, we'll stay in half kneeling. All right, now we're just gonna alternate this half kneeling. So we'll be nice and tall. All right, and what we want is to not have too much shifting side to side as we go. Okay, so we don't want lots of movement in your upper body. Okay, we wanna just be nice and clean. And do your best not to drag your foot through. We should be able to pick up. And we're just alternating, sort of a march, but alternating knees. And good. From there, we're gonna have a seat. So we'll sit with knees a little bit wider than hip width, right? So we're just kind of, it's not gonna be here and not too wide, but somewhere in between, somewhere where you can sit comfortably. So let's first work on sitting really tall on top of your sit bones. Okay, that helps to give your knees a hug just to get tall. You can do that. So we're sitting tall, right on top of your sit bones. Okay, that's your butt bones. You're as tall as you can get from the floor all the way up to the top of your head. Okay, so from here, we're just gonna reach up tall, like you're trying to touch the ceiling, and relax. So you can relax hands all the way down to the ground. We're gonna reach up tall again. As you reach, think about shoulder blades flush against your back. We're not crunching up towards your ears. So shoulder blades should really rotate, but not crunch up. Right, so as you reach, think about the bottom edge of your shoulder blade following your elbows, rotating up and out, still getting as tall as you can, and relax. So we're just reaching multiple times here, working on getting nice and tall. You may start to feel this in between your shoulder blades. Just reaching as tall as you can, staying as tall as you can. And good. All right, from here, we're gonna let's put your left foot flat on the floor. So we bring your left foot in closer to you, and your right hand is gonna go behind you, flat on the floor. All right, so from here, we've got opposites connecting with the ground. So we got left foot, right hand. All we're gonna do is lift your hips up. Just pick yourself up off the ground, go back down to the ground, and we switch both. So right foot is now on the floor, left foot is on the floor. Lift, and come back. Okay, so let's just alternate between those two. It's almost sort of a stationary crawl. Okay, good. So from that starting position, right now my leg is in front. So now we're gonna lift, and we're gonna take that leg back behind you. So we tap the floor behind you and bring it back forward and sit. Okay, so now we're just building up to sort of a get up. If you get lost here, if your brain gets scrambled, just go back to the original drill that we were doing, lifting. If it feels really hard, check in, make sure that you aren't trying to do it with your right foot and right hand on the floor. And that's a balancing act. We don't need balancing acts. We just need good solid base of support, opposite hand and foot. Push up, reach through. And good. I'll show you, we're gonna do one other thing before we get to the circuit. It's gonna be a 6-minute, just kind of flow of movements. So from this, we're gonna do what's called a tripod get up. So we're gonna push up just like that. And then you're bringing your foot under you. So now they call it tripod get up because now we have both feet on the floor in one hand. And then from there you stand. And that hand goes right back down to the ground. And we shoot the foot through. Okay, so that's a tripod get up. We're going to do that in the circuit, but I wanted to show you that first, just because it's a logical progression from that. Last thing we're going to do here, just as mobility work, if you have a step or a stair or your foam roller around, this could be good. If you can get into a deep squat all by yourself with no props, and you can relax in it, then you don't need the prop. Okay, so what I want is a nice deep squat. I'll show from the side here. If you're using the foam roller or a stair, even like a low seat, what we want is heels really close to under your butt, as close to under your butt as you can get. Okay, so we want to put as much weight into the floor as we can with your feet, and not as much weight on the roller. If you don't have the roller, so for me, I have to lean forward a little bit. So like I can do a deep squat, but I feel like I get much better work and practice if I have a little support under my butt. Right, so from here, we're just going to work on this bottom position. Right, and then weight's going to be pressing through the floor, and we just go ahead and stand. Put your feet in the position that works the best for you. Some people are going to be wider. Some people are going to have their toes angled out a little bit. Some people do it, prefer their hips work better with feet narrow. Okay, I'm a little bit wider than hip width. So to go back down, you're going to put your heels really close to that roller because that's where we want to end up. And we're just reaching your hips back and down. And we tap to the roller. And then we'll come back up. Let's do about 5 squats total here. Just really sort of spreading that floor apart as you sit down. Like if you were standing on a piece of paper, you'd be kind of trying to rip the paper apart as you stand up and go back down. This works on a low stair. This can even work on the couch, going to the couch. But what we want is nice even pressure through your feet as you do this. Okay. And relax. Okay, so we're going to do a series of 3 movements, and we're going to go through those 3 movements twice for a total of 6 minutes. We're going to do them for a minute each. The first one is inverse crawl, right? So, or think of it as like a crab crawl, right? So from here, we're going to be moving with opposite hand and foot. Okay, so if my right foot is moving forward, my left hand should be moving forward. Okay, so just move around in the space you have. You can move sideways, you can turn, right? If this isn't an option for shoulder stuff or whatever, we'll just do a shoulder crawl, which is here you lift your hips up, and then it's kind of like, just like with the other movements, opposite shoulder blade and foot supporting each other. So we just roll from side to side, sort of like a crawl. It can be stationary. You can use your shoulder blades like feet, where you're really like walking around with it. Okay, so if shoulders are an issue in the crab crawl, you can really easily change to the shoulder crawl. In fact, even if shoulders aren't an issue, you might want to change to the shoulder crawl just because there's, it's different and there's a lot of stuff that goes on there. Okay, so we'll do that for a minute, and we'll go tripod get up, which is opposite hand and foot. Push all the way up so that you can put your foot under you, and then we stand. Go back down to the bottom and alternate. Okay, so we do that for a minute. And the last one is under over. I won't move the camera. All you need to see is my lower body anyway. Under over. So you're gonna step and slide, like let's say there's a tree branch or a rope or something that's right about hip level. You're gonna step and slide under that rope, like you're getting to the other side of it. All right, and then you're gonna step up and over coming back. All right, so we slide under, up and over, coming back. We want to be nice and smooth and controlled with all those movements. We're going to go through twice, a total of 6 minutes. I'll let you know halfway on the under over so that you can switch it up. Go, under the other way. So we'll start off with the shoulder crawl or the inverse crawl, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we got 1 minute starting now. Here we go. Remember, as you're walking, opposite hand and foot go forward at the same time. We're always moving in opposites. It should never be like a balancing act where you have both left hand and left foot off the ground at the same time. We're halfway there if you want to try the shoulder crawl. If you feel like you're really having to tip your weight side to side, really check in and make sure that you are working with opposites. Keep yourself pressed away from the floor if you're in the inverse crawl. Okay, get up is next, and here we go. We're just bringing that foot up under you. We come all the way up to standing. Take that same hand right back down to the ground. Shoot your foot through, and then we switch at the bottom. I don't hear a lot of coaching or cussing, so I'm assuming you guys got a hold of this one okay. It gets confusing, actually. Okay, got 25 seconds left to go. Then we're on to the over-under. 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and under over. So we step, slide across like you're ducking under. Bring those knees up nice and high. So you're stepping over. Okay, the slower you go with this, the more you challenge your balance and your mobility. So if you do it quickly, there's not much need to balance, but what we want is full control. All right, let's go the other direction. Now you step the other way and slide back under. Ten seconds left. And inverse crawl, here we go. Last time. On that under over, sometimes it helps to think about, like the cue we usually use is stepping, when you step over, like you're stepping into the bathtub. A lot of times people forget to pick up the trailing leg. So we'll make sure when we get back to that one, we're picking up both the leading leg and the trailing leg when you step over. Halfway there. Always working with those opposites. 10 seconds left. 2, 1, and tripod get up. Here we go. Pushing opposites down into the floor. Bringing your leg under you and up to a stand. If coming up to a stand isn't an option, we're in that standing position. You can come under and just come to a knee. Then back down. If that's a better option for you. Whether it's like a flexibility issue or maybe a shoulder issue. 15 seconds. Five seconds, last one. And good, let's go over, under. Again, when you step over, you'll pick up the leading leg. And a lot of times we see people just step together like that. We want to make sure we pick up the leading leg and get that trailing leg back over as well. Trying to feel nice and smooth, under control. And let's switch directions. Fifteen seconds left. Three, two, one, and relax. Okay. So anytime we do these, like Sunday or Thursday primal type circuits, I usually leave feeling better than I did when I started. So hopefully that's like a little movement massage. You get a little bit of work done, maybe work up a little bit of a sweat, but you're also kind of just resetting the system and getting ready for the week. So thanks for joining me. Dave, you win the new guy consistency award.
Yeah, me.
Okay, thanks guys. Have an excellent Sunday.
Thanks,
Like it's gonna be nice. Get outside and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank
Ryan.
you.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye. Bye.